Have you ever had an imaginary friend as a child? Something that seemed so real to you, but to everyone else, it was just your imagination running wild. For most of us, imaginary friends disappear as we grow older. But for some, they return. And when they do, it's not in the way you'd expect. This is the story of Lily, a woman who moved back into her childhood home, only to find that her childhood imaginary friend, Mr. Smiles, had followed her, and he wasn't so friendly anymore.
Whisper to your ear.
Act 1. The Return of Mr. Smiles. Lily had always been close to her parents, but after years of living on her own, she decided to move back into her childhood home. It felt like the right time. Too many things had changed in her life recently, and the comfort of home seemed like the only way to escape the overwhelming pressure of adulthood. As a child, Lily had an imaginary friend. He was always there, an elusive figure she called Mr. Smiles. He didn't look like any friend she could describe. He was just a shadow with a grin, a friendly, comforting presence until he wasn't. After years of no contact, Lily thought she had forgotten about him. But the moment she stepped foot back into that house, she felt something stir, something old and forgotten, lurking in the shadows. Act 2. The Growing Presence. It started small, the faint feeling of being watched. A chill in the air that didn't belong. But then, the noises began. One night, Lily woke to hear soft whispers coming from the dark corner of her room. At first, she convinced herself it was the wind. But the whispers weren't the wind. They were words she had heard before. "You shouldn't have forgotten me." It was Mr. Smiles, speaking again after all these years. Her heart raced, but when she looked, there was nothing there. Just darkness. She tried to dismiss it, telling herself it was a result of stress. Her therapist assured her the same. But what Lily didn't know was that the worst was yet to come. Act 3. The Proof. Lily installed security cameras after a particularly unnerving night. It wasn't until she reviewed the footage the next day that she saw it. Mr. Smiles wasn't just in her imagination. He was real, and he was there, standing over her as she slept. He was there, his thin figure looming over her bed, his smile wide and unnatural. And that was when she heard it again. "You shouldn't have forgotten me." Terrified, Lily tried to tell her friend, but she couldn't find the words. The fear was too overwhelming. How could anyone understand what she was experiencing? Act 4. The Descent into Madness. Her therapist continued to dismiss her claims as stress-induced hallucinations. But Lily wasn't crazy. The shadow, the whispers, everything was real. And it was getting worse. The closer Lily got to confronting Mr. Smiles, the more sinister his presence became. Mr. Smiles no longer just whispered. He began leaving signs of his presence, strange symbols drawn in chalk on the walls, eerie messages scrawled across the mirror, and a chilling sound of footsteps behind her when no one was there. Then, one night, Lily heard the worst thing she could imagine. It wasn't a whisper this time. It was a voice, low and guttural, right behind her ear. "I've always been here, Lily. You just didn't want to see me." Act 5. The Final Confrontation. Lily had tried everything to convince herself that it was all just stress, that it was only the result of her mind playing tricks on her. But no more. The whispers, the figures, the symbols. Everything she'd seen couldn't just be ignored anymore. It was time to face the thing she'd run from for so many years. She was going to confront Mr. Smiles once and for all. She turned off every light in the house, convinced that the darkness would reveal the truth. Maybe if she saw him with her own eyes, she'd be able to stop the nightmare, to rid herself of the phantom presence once and for all. She could hear nothing. No footsteps, no whispers, just the sound of her own breathing, shaky and slow. But the longer she sat there, the more aware she became that she wasn't alone. She could feel it. Someone was watching her, standing just beyond the flickering light. Then the air grew cold, cold like death itself. The shadows in the corners of the room began to pulse, almost as if they were alive, moving, swirling. Her heart raced in her chest, her breath catching in her throat. And then she heard it, a soft shuffle, slow but methodical, getting closer, step by step, until it was right behind her. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the sound of those ominous footsteps. He was there, right behind her, Mr. Smiles. The tall, thin figure she'd once thought was a comforting presence now felt like a looming specter of dread. And his voice was the only thing that remained from the nightmarish past she'd hoped to forget. Mr. Smiles' voice. "I've always been here, Lily. You just didn't want to see me." Lily spun around, her eyes frantically searching the corners of the room. But it was too late. The room seemed to bend and twist as the shadows moved closer. Mr. Smiles' figure finally emerged from the darkness, a tall, thin silhouette, his face obscured by the shadows. But his wide, jagged smile was unmistakable. It stretched across his face, far too wide, too unnatural. It was like looking into the abyss. She tried to move, to run, but it was as if the very air had turned to stone. Her body wouldn't respond. Her mind was frozen in place, unable to escape the dark presence that loomed over her. The shadows stepped closer, towering over her in the dim, flickering candlelight. And then, the voice returned cold, low, almost mocking. Mr. Smiles' voice. "I told you, Lily. I've always been here. You can't run away from me. You never could." Her body trembled as he leaned in close, his smile consuming his entire face. She could feel his cold breath on her skin. The whispers grew louder in her ears. But this time, they weren't just words, they were promises. Dark, terrible promises. Act 6. The closing. Lily never left that house. No one knew what had happened to her. Her friends and family searched for answers, but all they found were more questions. The house was abandoned. Her room was locked from the inside, as though something or someone had barricaded her in. The walls were covered in strange symbols, like claw marks, etched deeply into the wood. The police found nothing. No signs of forced entry. No explanation. The only thing left behind were her final recordings footage from the security camera in her room. In the footage, Mr. Smiles stood over her bed, silent at first, watching her as she slept. Then, he whispered again, a single phrase that sent a chill down anyone who saw it. Mr. Smiles' voice. "You shouldn't have forgotten me. They say that if you visit her house today, You might hear the whispers of Mr. Smiles in the walls. And if you're unlucky enough to hear them, you might just find that he's been waiting for you too. Good night, and remember to lock your doors. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button, subscribe for more nightmares, and share with someone brave enough to watch alone. See you in Thursday.